Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the Berlin and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by Old Zoological Bar and Kingfisher Fish and Chips in Hull. I'm your host, Nathaniel, and I'm joined by Will, and we're to Berlin and Back as we're going to be covering an absolutely insane, dramatic extra time win for England against Slovakia. You might be able to hear that I've sort of lost my voice. Will, I assume you're the same?
I'm not quite sure what just happened in the past hour as of recording.
No, I mean, well, I was just reading out an amazing quote or sort of the introductory paragraph that, as reporters, they don't have much time to put out their reaction to the match. They have to,
No doubt.
Well, of course, as you know, they have to sort of draft what they're going to put out. And
I had my article ready for the Gazette, and it was not a happy one.
It was one from a Eurosport writer that they didn't really want England to score, as the clock ticked to 90 minutes. They didn't want to watch another half an hour, but I'm very glad we scored. We haven't covered the Denmark game. Shall we just cover that? We scored. Denmark scored. We were dreadful for 70 minutes.
It was bad. It was worse than Serbia. End of.
Yeah.
Let's move on to the Slovenia game.
Dreadful.
Even worse than the Denmark game. Let's move on to the end of the group stage.
We were utterly we finished top of the group.
Yeah.
There was a moment where we looked like we were going to be playing the Netherlands, and then
briefly,
the story of the tournament so far, and one of the stories of any Euros, 74th ranked Georgia. And yes, Portugal played their second team, but Ronaldo still started. They beat Portugal. I mean, absolutely incredible story. And they didn't just sit back and they fluked it. They were incredible and they deserved it.
Originally, we was going to do this podcast a few days ago from when we're doing it now. And it was going to be, I think it was either the day of the Portugal-Georgia game or the day after. I hope it was the day after because I would have just spent a good half an hour telling you how much I love Georgia. And they've been by far my favourite team at this tournament by a country mile. I just love the absolute lack of giving a crap about defensively doing going to go out there, we're going to play entertaining football, we're going to try and outscore our opposition even though we're not as good as our opposition. And they've looked fantastic every day. Kvaratskhelia is such a good player. He's been one of the standout players of the tournament so far. Obviously, Mikołajski's joint top scorer now, obviously with Musiala scoring against Denmark. They're both so it's nice seeing a team. That's how I want England to play. How Georgia plays. How I want England to play.
Go for it.
Attacking football, not focusing on the defence, just trying to let their players play their football. And it was a very nice way to win the group stage.
Georgia played the way Scotland didn't. Just a lack of fear. Scotland was far too conservative and deservedly. Yes, maybe they should have had a penalty, but Scotland, worst team at the tournament statistically, I think. Which is very nice.
I wouldn't even say statistically. I'd say that they are the worst team there. Fuck Scotland. That's hilarious how they went out last minute to Hungary. I thought that was fantastic to see.
Best way.
All their hopes up. But it wasn't just Georgia I enjoyed. I also massively enjoyed Austria against the Netherlands, beating the Netherlands 3-2, pretty much putting them in our sights originally, but obviously they've ended up playing my choice for the dark horses. They're going to be playing instead. But yeah, again, the group stages of tournaments are almost always usually enjoyable. It's rare than not because there's always all those teams that you never normally see in national football getting a chance to show what they can do. And say teams like Georgia looking great, Switzerland look great, Austria look fantastic, finishing above France in their group. And obviously, teams have gone through, and we have to focus on the knockouts now, where it gets serious.
But I just want to talk about Georgia more because Miklos had the top scorer.
I would love to, but let's be honest, we're here for one main reason, and it is for England, as poor as it's been. But I just want to check real quick. Who did you say was your dark horse, by the way?
Who did it? Oh dear.
I'm not doing this with. So was it Croatia?
I had Italy as my flops, which I'm very proud of, but I had Hungary.
I would say they're flops, even though they got through.
Hungary only beat the worst team at the tournament in 100 minutes, so that didn't go so well for me. I think.
Well, I obviously, as we know, I wrote down 3 teams and I picked Romania. The other two teams I wrote were Croatia, who were pap, and Austria, who I'm wishing I actually picked instead of Romania now.
Can I ask a question about I want to talk about the format of this tournament
Go
because
on.
I think there are positives and negatives. Firstly, I don't know whether we have the answer for this. It would take a quick Google, but I thought that the group stage positions, if you had the same points, went to head-to-head record first before goal difference. So how come?
No, it's always been goal difference first.
Right, and then if
I
it's
agree.
the same goal difference, it's head-to-head?
Yeah, I believe so. And then it's goals scored. Then I think it's disciplinary.
Yeah, but weird to say because Romania, considering that, I guess they did beat Ukraine, but Romania the same points as Ukraine. Romania top of the group, Ukraine bottom of the group. It doesn't really make any sense to me. But that's not really a format thing. That's just unfortunate for them. But I think there are two main things: massive good thing and a massive bad thing about the third place thing and the 2014 thing. That it's amazing for Georgia. It's been amazing for Iceland in the past. That sort of thing, getting third.
Portugal won the Euros, finishing
and
third in the
Portugal,
group.
They prove that the format isn't necessarily broken because a third place team isn't making up the numbers and can win it. But equally, you look at the bracket. The bracket is absolutely wonderful, especially for England. It's because it isn't. If you do the prediction, like the Telegraph had this sort of prediction thing that I used to drag the teams and see who they were going to play, it's good to work out who the third place team is. But it creates. Tim's just said Georgia have scored. Shall we go?
Can we just carry on with what we're saying, and I will let you know what's happening because I've got it on my screen.
Oh, okay. But I think that it creates an interesting draw because normally it would just be 8 great teams against 8 poor teams in a round of 16. But I think it's made it quite interesting. You look at Austria, Turkey, that sort of thing, as a round of 16 time, one of them being in the quarterfinal. I think that's quite interesting. So I like the format at this point of the tournament, but not the
breaking news. Tim Blackman was not lying. Kvaratskhelia has just scored, and Georgia are beating Spain 1-0. That's dating this episode beautifully. Get the fucking Georgia.
I mean, wow. See, fair play to Georgia. They're actually a good team.
Delightful stuff.
A team that sits back, but on the counter, they are absolutely devastating. The front two of that Napoli winger that I can't pronounce, him, Mikor Tadze. Kvaratskhelia. What's his first name?
I can't remember.
Isn't that a bit easier to say? But Kvaratskhelia. That's.
And the main striker's Mikolatsi, who's the one who's joint top scorer. So I think Kvaratskhelia might be doing that now.
He's got 2 goals now. And I've been keeping a track of the top scorers in the tournament. And not just the top scorers, but
in it.
the top scorers, as in I'm adding onto their current totals of major tournament goals. And so, for example, Schranz, the Slovakia player who scored his 3rd goal, he's at the bottom on 3, but at the top is Messi on 26. And I'm just keeping track of that because I think that's quite interesting.
How has Messi got 26 goals in the Euros?
No, he has the most major tournament goals of any player ever in Copa America and.
Oh no, I don't care about the Copa America.
I know, but I'm just interested to see who and.
The top scorers in these Euros are Jamal Musiala and Georgios Mikolatsi, who are both on 3 goals as it stands.
And
Kane's now on 2.
Kane is on 2.
Oh yeah, Schranz. Yeah, of course. Yeah, Schranz to Slovakia, but he's not going to be increasing his total.
He's certainly not.
So, but the group stage was delightful. Like I said, let's move on to the knockout stages because I think that's really why we're here. Starting with who was the first game yesterday? I can't even remember now off the top of my head.
Well, it's who England are going to be playing now. It's
I remember which way around it was.
Italy now, and Italy, they got that amazing Zaccagni goal, 98th minute winner, to unfortunately put Croatia out.
Didn't deserve it at all. Croatia deserved to get through with that, I think.
And England didn't win 4-0 either, so Croatia went home. But they've not looked too good. Switzerland, last minute goal from Fulkrug away from beating Germany. Didn't perform against Scotland, but Hungary, they just looked way better than Hungary. And I think they've got pace up front. They've got Mbolo and Xhaka and Akanji. I think they've got a lot of good players, and I'm very scared to play them. And they played Italy off the park.
Oh, it was like watching Italy was a bit like watching England. They just looked listless and passive and didn't seem to do much at all. Switzerland had them on toast, cutting holes in them like a fine cheese. But it was weird because I was surprised how poor Italy were. I know they're a weaker squad than they have been. I think up front, they're probably the weakest they've been in decades up front.
Retegui and Raspadori have 12 goals combined between them, whereas our strikers have about 90 trillion. Or maybe 40.
They were not good, but they were only as bad as Switzerland were good, and Switzerland was superb. And let's be honest, I would keep going into the game now knowing who we're playing. I think I'd rather have played Italy than Switzerland.
Because
I think
scraped by on pens.
When I looked at the draw for this side of the bracket, in my head, my opinion, the semi-final was going to be Austria-Switzerland. So I still think that's likely, but hopefully what happened tonight might galvanise the England team. We can hope.
Yeah. I mean, Switzerland have goals from all over the pitch. I don't know how many they've scored, but each player scored one. Shaqiri's a great player.
They've scored a few different goals.
Shaqiri's very high on the major tournament goal scoring chart. He
always scores in a tournament.
The only player to score in the last 6 major tournaments, and so he'll be a threat. We'll probably look more ahead to that game later, but
Switzerland played very well. They did have to go through. I'm glad they went through. It's nice because that's the second year in a row they've knocked out a big name, I suppose. They knocked out France, obviously, 3 years ago. I mean, this isn't as big a giant killing, I suppose, as that was then, but it's still a big name.
I think a very good prediction for me as a flop. Italy, the only team they've beaten is Albania.
I put Italy or Belgium, and at the moment Belgium's looking like a good shout as well because they've not been good.
Well, did you see what
happened? They play France tomorrow.
Ukraine-Belgian game, De Bruyne is like, oh no, we need to go to the crowd and applaud them. Forget it.
Even though we've been critical of Southgate at times, at least even though he still went to the crowd, even though they were throwing stuff at him, which I don't really condone, even if you disagree with him. Just boo him, don't throw crap at him.
Belgium not going over to the fans is probably...
Belgium didn't even go to the fans. It was that vociferous.
Weak, cowardly behaviour, personally.
But like I said, there was obviously, it wasn't just Switzerland yesterday. Obviously, Denmark played Germany as well. It ended up being a comprehensive win for Germany. But Jesus Christ, the referees, funnily enough being English, Michael Oliver, decided to make it about himself. It felt like I felt so bad for Denmark on their opening goal that was disallowed because while I agree with automated offside, but there needs to be a margin of error in it as well.
Yeah.
And that felt way too harsh. It was so close and so tight. There's like a level. I know you can't. Because it's automated. It's black or white. But it feels like there's a level where you need to be able to say, well, it's not offside.
The offside rule is actually it's done its job. The reason that you have the offside rule is that you don't spend the entire game blasting the ball up the pitch as far as you can with 10 players on the opposition's goal line trying to prod the ball in. It's not really supposed to rule out goals that are a millimetre offside, especially because most are actually.
Yeah, I remember a day when it was
over there. The defenders over there. How have you gained an advantage by being 1 millimetre forward when you're on the other side of the pitch?
Advantage to the attacker used to be a regular thing that was brought up because
you want to see goals, don't you? You want to see goals.
But that wasn't the one that bothered me the most. What bothered me the most was the handball penalty like a minute later.
His arm's out, but he's so close.
I do not know what he can do with his hand in that scenario.
No. I
don't care what they say. That's a natural position for the arm to be when you're making that movement. It was so close to the player. I don't know what he can do about it. And it's not handball. And that game is turned in a minute. You've got Germany were dominating for the most part, but then Denmark scored on the counter, went ahead, and you're like, well, this is becoming a very interesting game. It's disallowed. Germany then get a penalty and go straight in front, and you're like, well, what was the point? And then obviously from that point on,
league?
really, it never looked like any other team was winning than Germany at that point.
What league does that ref who refereed the Germany game?
It could be the Premier League.
I think it might be.
Could be Michael Oliver.
What
It is
nationality?
funny how at
has-
these Euros,
Yeah.
the games that have had somewhat controversial decision making in them have almost all universally been with the English refs. It's funny that, isn't it? It's an incredible coincidence, I believe. It must be. I mean, tonight, obviously, the referee wasn't English, but he wasn't great either. But we won, so I can't really complain too much in the end.
Bad news for Georgia. That goal has been ruled as an own goal. Bad news for Krivich-Kelly.
Yeah, I'm sure they are devastated that their goal, which still stands, has been made an own goal. But I would like for own goal. He's absolutely dominating this tournament from goal scoring point. He's absolutely hammering it. He's what is he on 8 now?
7, I think, isn't it? 7? I think it might be 7 or 8.
Either way, he's waltzed into that golden boot as it stands. Unreal stuff.
The day, isn't it?
I suppose we should probably move on to tonight.
So, one change, Mainu in after a relatively decent performance in the second half against Slovenia. There should have been more change as well. What would you have wanted to see?
For me, going into tonight and going into the Slovenia game as well, I felt that England would look at their best when I think the squad that he's got there anyway will be better suited with a back three and 2 strikers up front. So I would be playing Stones, Gay and Walker as my back three. I'd have Trent probably at right wing back because I think at wing back is Trent's position. He's not a right back. He's not a midfielder. He's kind of in between.
Yeah.
I'd have
he plays
Saka
right wing back unofficially for Liverpool by being so far forward.
I'd have Saka at left wing back because he's played there before, and actually he played there tonight. It turned out briefly. I'd have Bellingham and Rice as the 2 central midfielders, allowing Bellingham to go back and forth between the defence and attack. I'd have Foden as the number 10, and up front I'd have Kane and Watkins up front. Because if you want Kane to come deep and make all these things, it annoys me so much watching that man come deep and go into his own half over and over, and then play a ball forward to no one where he should be. If you're playing with 2 strikers, you can allow him to come deep and make those if he wants to come deep, and you've still got a striker up front who can break that defence. And Watkins is perfect as a man who can break an offside trap. He's got the pace. I mean, when Tony came on tonight, he looked much better than Kane did up front. He did a lot more, it felt like, up front.
Hold the ball up. There's a presence on the ball.
Kane was worth being on for the fact he gets scored.
Yeah. I mean, I thought Mainu did really well. Some good dribbles forward. I thought Rice, I think on the football app I've got, he was man of the match. I thought Rice was okay.
What? Well, put it this way. From minute 0 to minute 94, I thought England were appalling. I thought they were awful. They looked disjointed. They looked like a team of individuals who barely had played together at any point.
Clueless, lackluster, disappointing.
They happily passed the ball away, and whenever they were in a defensive position, they just kept backing off and allowing the Slovakians to attack them. Obviously, the goal was a proper mess up defensively. Walker's playing him on so far when he shouldn't be.
Stones and Gareth were too close.
Yes, Stones and Gareth were too close.
They don't win the ball.
Gay's been booked, so he's suspended for the quarter-final, which could be a big thing because until tonight, he was probably our best player in this tournament.
I'd still think so. Right? I'd still say
no one seemed when Palmer came on, he looked good.
Yeah, cold.
Surprisingly, what a surprise! You bring on an attacking player and he tries to score, tries to bring the attack forward. He brought on Eze and he looked promising. Yeah,
too late.
He brought on Eze and he looked promising. The problem is, he went after the 60-ish minute. He then waited until the 80th minute, pretty much, to make another change, and it was just infuriating. He makes one change with 10 minutes to go, and you're still losing 1-0, and it's like, what is he trying to do?
We made a sub at 65 minutes. Slovakia made 2 subs after 57 minutes.
Yeah,
that's how forward-thinking their coach is.
When we're losing, and you've got 5 subs you can make, so you've got plenty of choices you can make there. and you look at the players they've got, Slovakia on their right-hand side had a defence that was made up of a couple of mid players who were like in their late 30s. And you've got. I know you, and it was mentioned in our chat that he's maybe not fully fit, but you got Anthony Gordon there, who's statistically the fastest player in the England squad on the bench, and he never appears in the whole 120 minutes. And you're
Stretch the team.
Why is he not there, even in extra time, just to stretch them? But obviously, it took until the 80th minute for him to make proper change. Like I was surprised he brought off Mainu, but he brought him off and then made it a slightly different form. He changed a few things about, and then he brought on Tony at the death, which at the time felt like the most pointless substitution in the world.
And then I think just the fact he's in there outnumbers the Slovakia defenders, causes a bit of chaos.
It was someone who should have come on about 25 minutes earlier, maybe 30.
Or Watkins, someone else.
Yeah, either or. Yeah, we needed another striker at the time. But then
what were you thinking?
And then
at 94 minutes in, what were you thinking?
I was getting ready to come on this podcast in an hour and absolutely eviscerate the team completely. And I mean, I've not been exactly positive, to be honest. I've not exactly been positive, but then I just haven't. Then, for some reason, we put the ball in the box, and we tried not to do so many times for some reason. And Jude Bellingham decided, you know what? I think I'm going to score the goal of the tournament.
One of the best England goals ever.
I actually don't. I don't know how I reacted. I think I was just speechless. I screamed. Everyone was going mental around me, and I was just like stood there, like, what have I just seen? Because we've been so poor, we've been so bad. It was probably the worst we've played at the tournament so far, and somehow we created this bit of magic out of nowhere from the player who's the most likely to create that sort of moment in the team. And he hasn't had a good game. He's not had a great tournament after the Serbia game. He's been kind of isolated a bit. I think he's not been helped by the fact that Foden's on his left and Kane keeps coming in. So he's in an area where the ball's a bit too congested for him to do his proper football. I play him deeper for that reason. But he just decided, I think he remembered. He was wearing all white, and I think for a second he just forgot where he was and he thought he was playing for Real Madrid. And he imagined, for some reason, somehow imagined Carlo Ancelotti as Gareth Southgate. I don't know how he did it, but he must have done. And just thought, I need to score. Because Real Madrid always score in the last minute, and it was something like it was his sixth goal this season after in second half injury time. His second for England, his fourth. He had four for Real Madrid as well. And all of them have been goals that have either equalised or won the games. Yeah. So he's obviously, when you need him to pop up at the right moment, he does. And he finally did. And then obviously and it's like, it's annoying. It's a bit annoying in a way because it's like, well, that team deserved absolutely getting hammered for what they had just performed like for the past 90 minutes. And they've essentially got themselves a get out of jail card, at least temporarily, to push on and try and make things right. And it felt a bit undeserved almost. I think England, I'll be honest, I don't think England deserved to win tonight.
No,
but they did.
No, absolutely no way did they deserve to win.
But and then obviously we're going to extra time, and almost the first attack in the game, the balls it was a corner, it was cleared. Or was it who hit it back into the area? It was Eze, wasn't it? Eze hit it back in.
Volley.
Tony just instinctively flicked it towards goal, and Kane just nodded it in.
Predatory instinct, great goal from Kane.
I said, where's that been? That willingness to try and attack the ball. Why did that not exist for the 95 minutes prior? And now suddenly in the space of
only
2 minutes, they decided to turn up.
Yeah, because of course Rice had a shot against the post.
He did, yeah. So that I think we've smashed the post in every game, haven't we?
I think
feels like it.
Yeah, I don't know about Serbia, but every game since then, yeah. I think Trippier. There were two great moves where Trippier ended up at him on sort of the corner.
Oh yeah, one very early on.
Stand.
That one really early on where he essentially made it. It was a try conversion rather than a shot on
giggles
goal.
That point at 0-0.
Oh, it was hilarious.
And then
it was still 0-0 at that point, and it wasn't ever depressing yet.
And the offside Foden goal, which was a lovely move. So yes, it is possible.
Foden was very silly there because he should have been able to time his run and stay behind Trippier, really.
The only times we looked a threat, bar those, a shot from outside the box from Rice and 2 moments where it fell to Trippier were set pieces, and that's long throw, a free
Not
kick,
just set
knockdown.
pieces. We only really ever looked to threat full stop, if you can consider it, after the subs came on. Again,
Or after 90 minutes.
Well, it was our first shot on target, wasn't it? The Bellingham goal, technically.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's the best time to score, I suppose, but it's not. It's funny because you look at it and it's like, that's not good, but they're winning and getting through despite playing absolutely abject.
What happens in a league when you play badly? That's a good sort of thing, that you can play bad and get a result.
Yeah, I want to be overly critical, but at the same time, I feel like you can't, because they're still pulling up results despite playing absolutely awful. And that's the bare minimum. It's like, if they'd lost it tonight, if they'd lost that game, but they'd played well, I wouldn't have been as bothered, because you've won. Yeah, we've lost, but we had a good performance. We improved.
You'd still be livid, wouldn't you?
A healthy game, and we just couldn't deal with that. But if we'd have gone out the way we'd played, they would have been mad. I dread to think what the media would have done. What it would have been like tomorrow morning. I mean,
that's what I
was ready to write some not very good things, and for my match report on it. Thankfully, I would have had time to actually write it.
Yeah, I said it was time to Southgate to go after the Slovenia game, because I thought maybe Ben would get quarter final. But
for me, it was time for Southgate to go after the France World Cup quarter final.
Yeah, see, personally, I feel like that's the best we've ever played somehow.
And we played. That's an example of a time where we played well and didn't win, and I was fine with it to an extent, because we played France. They were the best team in the tournament, really. I know that they didn't win the thing, but they're probably the best team in the tournament, and we played well against them, and we just came short. But that's the sort of performance I want to see if we're going to have a losing effort or not play. I want to see us play like that rather than how we're currently playing. But I mean, if we get to the end, if we somehow win the Euros playing this edgy football, I won't give a damn. I will happily say, yeah, I've criticised them all month, but I can't really complain, can I? Because he's brought a trophy.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, because no matter what else we've done, it hasn't worked before. I mean, I was ready to uninstall social media because, look, I think Southgate's been done a very bad job so far how he set the team up. I think he's done incredibly before. I respect him highly, and I don't really want to see him be criticised as much because of what he has done in the past. I'm sure it's probably like how maybe Leicester fans felt after maybe if Leicester had come second and then they sacked Ranieri, something like that, or Rossini even maybe. Just, I don't want to see him criticised as badly as he would have been. It would have been really vile and toxic, and it probably still would be if we played and lost next week. But I'm so glad, and yeah, that Bellingham goal was just a proper moment. We've been looking for a spark. All the pundits and commentators have said we just need a spark to click, and it hasn't clicked as a team. But surely, Bellingham last minute overhead kick, you can't get sparkier, clickier, ignite, an ignition moment better than that. Surely, right? Well, surely it's got to be better in the next match.
Oh, you would imagine it's a moment where you would hope it would galvanise the side. Definitely. It's a sort of thing that should galvanise the side. But the way that they've been playing, hopefully, well, we don't know for certain. Sorry, Spain have just equalised against Georgia. I sound a bit distracted. But yeah, it's something that should, and you would hope does, kick them on, because they've been that close to actually just coming home, and then they've managed to avoid it. And you think, well, we've been living dangerously all tournament, and now in a game where it actually mattered, and it was essentially life or death footballing wise, and we've just escaped death essentially. You'd hope that the players take heed of that and take heed of the occasion and the way they've done it, with like 2 incredibly late goals to seal it. And
we can't go through that again.
They need to catch that moment and use it rather than be happy with it and move on and try and continue as they have been. I want us to. I just don't see it, but hopefully the players, because we got all about Southgate, criticising Southgate, but it isn't And while I do think his tactics and his passiveness and his lack of determination to make changes himself rather than react to changes, he's not the sole reason England have been poor.
He's not the one passing the ball straight to the opposition every 5 minutes.
While the players have been poor, and while obviously they are playing his tactics, and they're obviously playing the way he wants them to play, which is not what we want to see from England. But he's not the sole bad thing about it. It's not just him. The players need to step up as well, and hopefully, what they've gone through tonight is like when we beat Colombia on penalties in Russia.
Yeah,
because we've been a bit iffy to that point. We hadn't been great. We'd snuck past Tunisia. We'd beaten Panama, but Panama were a minute footballing wise.
Panama. Yeah, they barely even qualified.
And we'd drawn our other game in that group. I can't remember who we played in that group. We
lost to Belgium, didn't we? Because we
lost to Belgium. Yeah, it was a disappointing game where we'd rested a lot of players and then we lost comfortably to them.
It feels similar now. I think this feels similar in that we're playing like at that point. It was, we'd had the sort of awful Iceland thing. We'd have the awful Allardyce thing. Southgate had just been brought in to sort of cheer people up. Almost, that was the main thing. It was just to sort of get that cohesion.
We went into that tournament with absolutely no expectations, didn't we? Really?
Yeah, and we played. We thought, well, let's just sort of get as far as possible.
Yeah, against Colombia, we were all right. We were okay. Colombia were a decent side. We it required penalties to do it, and obviously having never won a penalty shootout, we finally did. Well,
we Sweden. Sweden were like a Burnley team.
Yeah, when we played Sweden, and we looked all right. Then we played. It's like
we got found out.
But I'm hoping it's something similar, and that just sort of galvanises not just the team, but kind of the country. It needs to.
Yeah. So, who would be your starting 11 against Switzerland on Saturday?
I gave you it a few minutes ago. It's that same one. I have a 3-5-2. Oh no, because I can't play Gay, can I? Because he's now suspended for this quarterfinal, which is concerning.
Right?
I would play as Ricontia because he came on, and I assume he came on purely for that reason. I think he came on, getting some minutes under his belt because he's going to be the one playing in the quarterfinal against Switzerland. And I think that's purely why he came on. So Biconza, Stones, and Walker as my back three. Obviously, Trent as my right wing back, Saka as my left wing back. Though apparently Shaw was fit enough to be on the bench and possibly come on, but obviously you didn't bring him on. So you never know, but I'll stick with Saka at left wing back. I said Bellingham and Rice as the midfield duo. Foden as the number 10. Gordon on the left. Because I don't know why Gordon... Oh, no. Foden as number 10, then up front, Kane and Watkins as my two strikers, or Kane and Tony, either or. Kane and the other striker.
So you're dropping Mainu after that performance?
Yes.
I thought he was okay.
It's not a performance, but I'm only dropping him because of the formation change. It's because of the way the formation is. And if I was to keep the same formation, I'd drop Foden.
Yeah.
I'd drop Foden and play Gordon there, or Palmer, one or the other.
I'm always much more
conjurers for game.
I'm always much more conservative in my lineups, and because I don't personally myself see the point in being disappointed that he's not made 3 or 4 changes, because I know he won't. It's a weird mindset.
I have a feeling we'll get to the next Saturday and it'll be one change, and it's the Konza Gay change, and he's kept the rest of it the same.
I think I think Palmer's got to start. There was a clamour for him.
Well, I think people said that before this game, and he didn't. That's the thing.
He didn't. Foden really didn't do anything. I'd put Saka on the left and Palmer on the right myself. But I don't I don't mind your lineup at all. I think 3-5-2. It's like 3-5-2 doesn't have to be negative, does it? Lots of teams high up the table play 3-5-2 and they don't sit on 1-0 leads. I don't mind it at all. I mean, Switzerland will be a really tough game. Switzerland, I don't think they've ever been to a semi-final. And we do have better players from them man to man. They just need to find a way of clicking and getting the best out of players. And it is possible. It's definitely possible to do better than we have done. It'll be a very tight game, very similar to the Slovakia game. Do we want to predict what the other knockout games are going to be? If I bring up
Do you
the
know
bracket?
what? I wouldn't mind doing that because I was hoping we could do that before. When we was going to do this midweek, I'm a bit annoyed because when we was originally going to do this, I was actually going to predict Switzerland to beat Italy at the time.
Well, I don't. I haven't been officially predicting them, but yeah, I would have gone the same because I look at Italy. They scraped through. Switzerland, unlucky not to be first against the hosts. They had a goal ruled out quite late on as well to make it 2-0. So yeah. Well, I don't know whether we're going to predict the games that have already happened. Spain are 1-1 with Georgia. We'd imagine Spain to win.
I'm hoping Georgia win, but you're probably right. But
yeah,
I'm hoping Georgia win. Yeah, obviously. So they'll obviously play. Whoever wins that plays Germany, and I think whoever wins that loses to Germany. Personally.
Yeah, I think Spain. Well, the way they're playing against Georgia, maybe not, but they've been the most impressive. They're the only team to have won the first 3 games. I think Germany look pretty good, but I think they
did struggle against Denmark, but they never looked like they was going to lose it. Even when they conceded that goal, and it was all a bit.
They've been good. They've not been great since the Scotland.
I would say no team has been great in this Euros. So I think that's.
Spain beating Croatia 3-0 is a great result, but even so, Croatia are sort of a bit old now. And that kind of told as they conceded in the last, 2 late goals against Albania, actually, and Italy. So, would we go... I'm going to put Spain to beat Germany. You're going to Germany to beat Spain.
Germany, yeah. Germany. And I think the other part of that, so obviously the next section is Portugal, Slovenia, France, Belgium.
I mean, Portugal... we're not saying that Slovenia cannot win. We're not saying that there won't be an upset, but...
I want Slovenia to win.
Yeah, but we can't.
I want them to win so badly, but I don't think they are.
Even if Slovenia win, and you've predicted Slovenia to win, you can't actually seriously predict Slovenia to win based on anything other than just luck. So I'm not saying it would be lucky if they win. I'm saying lucky that you'd be right. Portugal will beat Slovenia, probably.
Yeah, I think Portugal will win, and then I think France will absolutely muller Belgium.
I think Belgium they've been dreadful. They've been really dreadful.
They've not been good. They've not been good at all. Like I say, I think we all thought they'd do poorly, and I think they have. Personally, I think they've been not lucky to get through the group because obviously you get the third places a lot of the time, and obviously they have the type, but they could easily not have gone through. And they've just not looked anything inspiring. I think France haven't looked great for the most part, but they've looked a lot better than Belgium.
I mean, they've knocked out Ukraine, so they're unpopular for that, and they didn't thank their fans, so they're unpopular for that. I'd be very happy to see France put 5 past Belgium, to be honest.
And then after that, obviously, we're both going Portugal, France. I think that will be the game where France finally turn up at this tournament proper.
You'd think
and
so.
I think they'll win. And I think they'll win like 3-2 after extra time or something.
The way Spain play and Germany being the hosts, I think the Spain-Germany game will be more entertaining. But it's crazy how those 2 games there, Spain-Germany, Portugal, France, as we predict them, are 2 quarterfinals. The quality of those teams should really be 2 semi-finals, but it's interesting that's how the way it's gone. So do we want to do shall we just do the round of 16 games for now? Predict those?
Yeah, and we'll do in quarterfinals. So we'll just predict up to the semis. So yeah, obviously Switzerland won and we won, so we don't have to worry about that one. Obviously, I will predict England to win just because I have to, even though I think Switzerland. I actually do think Switzerland will beat us because I just think we'll look better.
Yeah, disagreeing with you on both. I'm going to go Spain-Portugal semi-final.
Oh, I'm going Germany-France semi-final.
Yeah. Well, at least one of those teams will be in the semi-final. So between the two of us, yeah.
Romania, Netherlands, and Austria, Turkey.
Now, Romania, Netherlands is sad because Romania finishing top of the group, their reward is to play the Netherlands. Seems a bit harsh.
Whereas, if they'd finished second, they'd have played France.
Yeah.
And if they finished third, they'd have played us.
Oh, so they should have finished third. They would have had a better chance.
Well, you say that. I actually am. I'm going to do it. I have to stick with my dark horse, my personal choice of dark horse. I'm going to predict Romania to beat the Dutch.
Yeah. I will say Netherlands will win. I think Gakpo for Netherlands, he seems like a different player to Liverpool. He did very well at the World Cup. I think he got his move to Liverpool because of that, didn't he?
Pretty much.
I think he's got 2 goals already. He took it really well against Austria. I'm going to go Netherlands, but they're flaky, so I wouldn't think that will give him any confidence. I think bar Switzerland. Oh well, mind you, France Belgium's pretty good, but I hate Belgium at the moment. So Switzerland, Italy, very good fixture. I think in terms of just entertainment factor, the way they've played, I think Austria-Turkey is actually the game.
Could be an absolute belter.
I think it's the game of the round, as people call it.
I don't know if it's the game of the round, but it's definitely it has the potential to be a classic. A classic which Austria will win. Sorry, Turkey. Sorry, Adjo. But I personally think, from what I've seen, Austria might go all the way to the final. For me, the way they've played on this side of the draw as well, I think Austria are probably going to get to their first final.
I mean, you often see that there's a team that does really well in the group stage, and everyone says they're dark horses or whatever. And that'll be a tight game against Turkey. Like, Turkey has some good players. I don't think Turkey are that great though.
But Turkey got comprehensively beaten by Portugal. You got to remember that as well.
They did.
They looked good against Georgia, and that game against Georgia was probably, to this point, maybe the best game in the tournament. Not for me personally, but I can see if someone making an argument. It was a fantastic end-to-end game. But I would say the best game of the tournament was by their opponents when they beat the Netherlands 3-2. That was my personal favourite game of the tournament so far. And I think it's amazing that they're playing as well as they are, you can argue without their star player, David Alaba, not being there. But they are all
really good, aren't they? It's clearly a sort of, that Austria and Germany.
They're a team.
Austria is pretty much as German as you can be without being German, I would assume, culturally. And so they're probably feeling probably a lot of fans there. So surely that home support almost.
They've got that affinity. Obviously, they're linked in many ways. Trying not to mention several reasons why they're linked. Just ignore them.
The war. Oh, sorry. Don't mention the war. Sorry.
Don't say Anschluss. Jesus. But yeah, I actually personally think. I do genuinely think, even with England on that side of the draw, Austria are going to be in the final.
Yeah.
I know we're not predicting semi-finals, but I'm predicting right now, and I'll probably have to eat my words when they lose to Turkey. I think that they are the most not the best team, but they feel like the most complete all-round group of players.
Yeah.
I don't know. They've kind of played. I don't want to say they've played above themselves because they've got plenty of really good players, but they seem to have. It seems to be working right. And Ralph Rangnick, who obviously turned down going back to Man U like a sensible man, and turned down a couple of other jobs. Obviously, he turned down Bayern Munich. I think he's made the right choice gone there. He's a decent manager and he's got a decent group of players. And they are just peaking at possibly the right time, even without their star man.
I like what you said about them being a team, because a lot of the smaller nations either have sort of no good players, or maybe like Poland with Lewandowski, where he's so clearly above everyone
Focus
else.
on him, yeah. And
Whereas
yeah,
without Alaba, they have, like
I mean,
good striker, good midfield,
yeah.
good defence. They're all equally as good as each other.
There is the odd players in there like Arnautovic. Obviously, we know what he can do from English football when he's on his game. He can be a fantastic striker. Obviously, you've got Sabitzer in midfield, who's very good. But he's not just in there. They have a lot of players that you probably don't know the names of that do very good. And I just don't see them.
Gartner.
I personally don't see at the moment the way they're playing who could beat them on our side of the draw.
England.
I can see a couple of teams on the other side of the draw beating them. But I think we've got away with being on this side of the draw. And that's the thing with Southgate. I'm not using it against him. But to be fair to him, he has been somewhat lucky in his time as England manager with the draws that we've had.
After
Obviously,
what
you
can
only beat what's put in front of you, of course.
Yeah, I mean, and also, to be fair, every tournament, but also the World Cup, if we'd beaten France, who would we have played in the semi-final? It would have been Morocco. So all 4 tournaments, a bit of luck in terms of who we would have played and who we did play. I mean, so the other one, you would say it would be Netherlands against Austria.
No, Romania against Austria.
Oh, sorry, Romania, Austria. I'm going to go Netherlands versus Turkey.
Are you just picking the opposites for every
No, I think it'll probably be Netherlands, Austria. But personally, I think Austria are really good. But I just don't see Austria beating Netherlands twice somehow.
See, I do, and I see if they beat him, if they play him again, I think they won. I think it'll be a not more comprehensive, maybe scoreline wise. I think they'll be. But I think they'll actually win by more, not more, but by a bigger margin.
No, personally not. But again, flawed.
I know
format.
I'm putting all my eggs in the Austria basket. Yeah, I know.
You shouldn't be able to play Netherlands, Austria, and then one match, and then Netherlands, Austria again. It shouldn't happen in a tournament.
It is weird that the way it's set up. It means
Confederations Cup level bracket. That is. That's not right. Remember the Confederations Cup? Good stuff. Don't do it anymore. It's a shame. Since 2017. Sad. It makes me sad. And then it would be, well, we know it's going to be England, Switzerland. I mean, that's one of those where if it was a friendly, England would just find a way to win, and it would be it would be no problem. But because it's a knockout.
Simple. The way to put this is: heart says England, head says Switzerland.
It's coming home. We're going to win the whole thing.
I can't not go against England. As bad as England have been, I can't not go against them just purely because I can't not because they're England. But this isn't Slovakia. This isn't Slovakia. Slovakia were good to beat Belgium. They've shown they can do well. They've got through the group. But Switzerland are a much better side. They're a much better side, and
the units, aren't they?
The thing is, if England now turn up as we know they can play, anything could happen. If they carry on playing as they have done, they will get burnt eventually. And I think this would be the point, personally, that they would get burnt.
Yeah, I think it's in Leipzig. Seen some good games there already. Or not, I don't know.
I believe it's in Dusseldorf, not Leipzig.
Okay. I've been playing the EFC Euro 2024 mode and trying to work out what stadiums they're going to be in. All I know is that we would play in Dortmund, or our side of the draw is Dortmund in the semi-final. Can I just say, I've played the Czech Republic twice in the semi-final as England in Euro 2024. I've only done
I think I posted on my social media before the tournament. I'd done it on the day of the tournament. And the final of my tournament was England versus Slovakia.
God.
Let me just find the picture real quick. I'll tell you exactly what happened in it, but it was pretty incredible stuff.
You will never guess the scoreline I beat the Czech Republic in that semi-final, ever.
7-2.
No, okay. It was after extra time.
7-3.
I beat them after extra time, 9-4,
That's just stupid.
and on the highest
Right, so
difficulty. So it wasn't like it was stupid game. Stupid game.
my FIFA decided to throw out some pretty mental stuff. So France played Slovakia in the last 16 and beat them and Slovakia won on penalties before knocking out the Czech Republic in the quarters 2-0, and then beating Switzerland in the semis 2-1. On England side of the draw, we beat Austria 3-2 in the last 16, Croatia 2-1, and then Albania in the semi-final 2-0. Albania having knocked out Belgium 4-2.
It's a broken thing.
Switzerland beat Spain on penalties as well in there. Switzerland beat Spain on penalties in there. Ukraine got through. Germany lost to Croatia 3-1 in the last 16.
I've beaten Belgium twice in the final as well.
I've only played it once so far. But I just couldn't believe that was the draw it gave me. The fact that we played England, it was England Slovakia, and then coincidentally that's tonight. But I wish that was how the tournament went.
Yeah.
But I've forgotten what we're on about now.
Well, official prediction for Switzerland match, England-Switzerland.
Like I said, heart says England, head says Switzerland. I'm going to have to go my heart off my head, and I'm going to have to pick England because I have to. While I think they'll lose, I have to pick England.
Yeah, 1-0. I'm going to go 1-0.
2-1 after extra time again.
Yeah, I'm going to go Kane penalty, 67th minute.
And all 3 goals are in extra time. So it's 0-0 at full time. England score twice, and then Switzerland pull one back and essentially just spend the last 10 minutes absolutely murdering us, and somehow we survive.
Yeah, I mean, I'd take that. I mean,
if you're offering me now, I'd take it, but I don't imagine it'll be fun to watch.
No, it won't.
I mean,
even
tonight,
if we win, it won't be.
Let's be honest, tonight was 118 minutes.
Well, we played well for the last 2 minutes of 90 minutes and the first 2 minutes of the 30, and that was it. It's enough.
Because that's the thing, as soon as we went ahead in extra time, just to bring it back to England, we sat back again. It's like, Southgate, please stop doing that. Just try and kill the game off. Don't keep going back and forth like this. You need to use the players you've got. But anyway, we'll have to wait until next Saturday to find out exactly what's going to happen with that one. And I think where is it in the set? It's like it's the third, I think, of the 4 quarters. So we'll have an idea of we'll know what one of the semi-finals are, but we won't know what the other one is.
Who we're gonna play? 6th. Our game is at 5, and then the other game's at 8. So we wouldn't know if we have.
We'll go into it waiting to see what happens. So hopefully it's Turkey-Romania is what I'd like to see. Even though I want Austria to do well, I just want
that would be an incredible quarterfinal. And to think Spain,
atmosphere-wise, it'd be mental. But I want Austria to go. I think Austria would beat both in a shootout, and then play England in the semi-final, and then I think we'd lose to Austria. But that's enough of that. I think we've talked enough about us losing now.
Yeah, I think the sample size is amazing. That we've seen Austria play 3 games. They beat Poland, and like everyone would beat Poland at the way they're playing at the moment, bar France. They've beaten a flaky Netherlands team, and we think they're getting to the final. That's tournament football.
It's that side of the draw. I just don't see them being worse than the other 4 in that quadrant. I think they're the best of the 4 teams in that section, and I think they'll at least get to the final 4.
Yeah, you'd think that, but
they should anyway. If they don't at this point, it'll be a disappointment really for them.
It's a complete. If someone gets a red card early on, like Turkey had in the last match against the Czech Republic, Czechia, anything can happen. But I think it's been so far. The last episode we did after the first round, it's been a good Euro so far.
So, like Euros wise, Austria have never got past the round of 16. And the last tournament was the first time they got that far, which is mad when I think about it. Because Austria have always been a relatively decent side, even in the past. They might not have been a great side, but they've always been a decent side. You think they do all right in tournaments. I suppose the Euros being a smaller competition maybe hampered that for the most part. And I think their best ever was they finished third in the World Cup like a long time ago, like pre-England winning it. I want to say like in the 50s. I think they finished third. I'm not sure for certain. Well, but obviously, since then, they've not.
Well, the Euros has always been quite a small competition. The first one with 16 teams was
Euro 96.
So, really, you look at these Euro stats, but actually, I think you're not going to like this. Can I say something you won't like, Will? Permission?
Go on, and I'll just insult you afterward.
Well, I'll because it's an amazing. I'm not besmirching that, but I did see. I can't remember who it was, but it was on 5 Live or someone that the Denmark winning the Euros was a bigger shock than Leicester winning the Premier League, which is nonsense. It's a shock, right? Obviously, but you don't have to say it's. No, you're wrong. Will. No, because and let me justify this. I'm not. It's still amazing because it didn't qualify. It's incredible, but considering that the Euros at that point was an 8-team competition, and
which Denmark hadn't qualified for, remember?
Well, no, precisely, but compared to a team that people thought would maybe be 17th, 18th best in that division.
Sorry, George Miller just scored from inside their own half.
Blind.
I just nearly lost it.
But Netherlands would probably be 7th or 8th or 9th ranked team in Europe that hadn't qualified. Because I imagine it's not necessarily just that the top 8 teams qualify. They might have been unlucky. So they could have been 6th or 7th best team in Europe. And 6th or 7th best winning a 5-game tournament is not as big of a shock as 17th best winning a 38-game tournament. That's just all I'm saying.
See, this is a hard question for me because personally, a bit random, that Euro 92 Denmark squad is one of my favourite ever football teams. I love that squad. I love all the players in it. I love the
5 games,
even though it wasn't the most positive football, but I loved the way they play football, and I loved the way that they dealt with teams like that late 80s, early 90s Germany, a unified Germany at that point, who were the world champions, and the Netherlands, who were the defending European champions. For me personally, because they hadn't qualified as well, I don't think it is a better achievement than Leicester. But
it isn't.
Because that's not Denmark's fault either. No. It's a different format. It's you can't compare them because they're different types of tournament.
Is it a bigger shock than Greece with a bigger, lower ranked team, more teams in the tournament? Surely
I personally think it is bigger than Greece, but I wouldn't argue with you if you disagree.
Yeah, I disagree.
At least Greece qualified.
Yeah, but then Denmark would have qualified if it was the 96 tournament because there would be.
That doesn't matter because it wasn't. 4 years later, they might not have been the same team.
No, but
and they were because they got there, but they didn't do well.
But I still think, quite interesting. Actually, the Euros has always been quite a small tournament up until 2016. I mean, very stressful night, but we get another 5 days of enjoying England being in it.
Denmark beat better teams in that one than Greece beat in their one, personally, for me. I think the team that Denmark beat, because they came out of a group with England had just been to I know it wasn't the same England side, but they'd just been to the World Cup semi-finals. The France team then was one of the favourites to win the damn thing, and they did awful. Spain have just scored. And Sweden, who were the hosts, and looked good, and they got to the semi-final. They went to the semi-finals, obviously, as well. And then, obviously, they beat the Netherlands on penalties, the European champion. And then they beat Germany comfortably 2-0 in the final. And it's like, I think Greece... I know Greece beat, obviously, Portugal in the final, who were a good side. They beat... Who did they beat in the semi-final? It was the Czech Republic, wasn't it? That 2004 Czech Republic team was ace, to be fair. But it was never a winning side that the other twos had been. I just feel it's a bit of a weird conversation to have at the end of this hour, to be honest.
Yeah. But
for me, the Denmark 92 team is the greatest European Championship side of all time, and I'm definitely not biased with that up there at all.
Yeah, fair play. Well, hopefully England,
join them.
Just keep going and play more turgid football and score some rubbish set piece goals and keep winning. Of course, Bellingham.
I would not call Jude Bellingham's overhead kick a rubbish set piece goal. It was the goal of the tournament so far.
It was incredible.
I had a goal against Georgia with a banger though.
Bellingham's was better.
Bellingham has the context because it was the last minute in a knockout game. At this current moment in time, for me, it's the best goal. But
it's not in a what's in space? A vacuum. Goals aren't scored in a vacuum, are they? The pressure to do that in the last minute is still on compared to 1-1 an hour in. So yeah, I think Bellingham's is the best. Shaqiri's overhead kick, a few tournaments back, better, but still this tournament, the best. Yeah. Well, Will, this has been a lovely chat, and hopefully we have a few more about England winning pretty soon as well. Anything else?
We might chat about Hull City at some point as well.
We might, but not tonight. Can't be bothered. Is that all right? We want to go watch the Georgia game. So, yeah. Will, been lovely chatting to you.
As always.
Thanks to everyone for commenting in. Mostly just Tim tonight, giving us the Georgia score. And yeah, we'll have, of course, Tim Walter. It's his first match or first day as Hull City manager tomorrow officially. So,
isn't it? Yeah.
More Hull City news pretty soon as well. So, I've been Nathaniel, been talking to Will. Thanks for liking, subscribing, and doing all the awesome stuff. And we'll be back pretty soon. It's coming home.